Hey everybody, okay, I'm here with my second installment. It's called After the Rain. Just a real quick disclosure. I wrote this, it's all me, all me. However, I did give this to Florida A&M University. So, they have some rights, maybe, I don't know. But this is all me. All right, After the Rain. I don't know when it was that I realized my life was horrible. It could have been a month after my sister Carmen was born and my father left us. No last letter, no phone call. In fact, he didn't kiss me goodbye that morning. He just left for work as usual with his suede tool belt and silver and red lunchbox, leaving after him the smell of leather and Old Spice. I hate that smell. I was 8, or it could have been a month later when my mom left my little sister Carmen and I at the local park and never came back for us. Or it could have been when the state worker had to beg and plead with my maternal grandmother to take us in. I know that should be a plus, but Gloria, as we're required to call our grandmother, reminds my sister and I constantly that we are interrupting her busy club hopping life and that we eventually will turn out to be exactly like our no good, drug addicted mother. Nice. I think I really realized it today, at 11:58 a.m. to be exact. The news was devastating, but like most things in my life, I learned to block it out, make it non existent. As I left the doctor's office, still holding my test results in my hand, and boarded the number 7 bus downtown, I was still unaffected. I should have been in school. I mean, I didn't have to make this trip to get the results. The nurse could have just told me over the phone. But of course, our phone is disconnected. Gloria had to get her nails done, and dare she not get her daily smokes. So here I am, a week before my 17th birthday, cold, lonely, and HIV positive. Maybe I should tell you a little about me. I'm the middle child of Loretta Johnson. I never met my older brother. Gloria told me that his grandparents got custody of him the first time they could prove Loretta to be unfit, which was only 6 months after his birth. My name is Rayne. I find that ironic since life has rained a slew of storms on me for as long as I can remember. I don't know where Loretta came up with this name, but I have no complaints. I'm an honor roll student at Orlando High School in the sunny state of Florida. I have a tall, athletic build that goes with my white mocha complexion, hazel green eyes, and freckled nose. Yes, I'm a mixed breed, but of what mix, who knows? My mother can't even remember ever having conceived me. The man that left my father, Carmen's father, was the only man that ever wanted to be in my life. At least he used to be. I consider myself to be a good person. Well, as good as I can be. I take care of Carmen, always making sure that she is fed and dressed properly for school. I even help her with her homework and attend all of her clarinet recitals. I attend church at least twice a month, and I tithe when I can, which is not that often. Maybe this is the reason this is happening to me. Is God punishing me? I even picked up a part-time job after school at the Stop and Shop. This is where I met him. This is where it all began. Jamal was the cutest man I'd ever seen. He had this Greek Adonis type characteristic about him. His smile was for days, and hair so dark and wavy I felt seasick. His beautiful honey complexion was smooth and flawless. It was as if God took the best features ever to be given to man and placed them on him. He was taller than my 5'9" frame by far, and best of all, what touched my heart was the cutest birthmark one can ever have. A small crescent-shaped dot on the corner of his right eye. This man was perfection's perfect. The first time he walked into the Stop and Shop was near closing time, and he pleaded with my manager, Rick, to allow him to purchase a few items. I was in the dairy doing inventory when he walked past me. He left a faint scent of Old Spice tugging at my nostrils. That should have been my first warning. But I ignored it and breathed in for the longest time, storing that smell so deep in my memory. We made eye contact as he walked past me again, and he smiled, that captivating smile of his, showing every last one of his perfect, pearly white teeth. And then I dropped a carton of sour cream. After that night, Jamal would come to the Stop and Shop at least twice a week. First, it started with that dazzling smile, then a wave, until we were having minute-long conversations about nothing. It took Jamal a month and a half of weather-related conversation to ask me for my number. I gave it to him with an eager heart. Hopefully our phone would still be connected when he called me. Our first conversation that night was the best thing that ever happened to me. Jamal let me talk the entire time, and he actually seemed to be interested in every single detail of my unimportant life. He commented when needed and sympathized with me completely. He assured me that I didn't need any friends and that I shouldn't let the fact that I didn't have any bother me. So I didn't. We talked until it was time for me to go to school. The next couple of weeks would follow the same pattern. Jamal said he wanted to know as much about me as possible, and he wanted to be there for me like no one else ever had. I consider myself lucky just to breathe the same air as him. Now he wanted to know about me and spend time with me? Jamal never liked to talk about his life. Every time I would mention it, a pained, almost excruciating look would wash over his face, and his whole being would just seem so completely destroyed that I would immediately be overcome with guilt, and I so wanted to ease all of his pain. The only part of his life that Jamal would share with me was that his father abused he and his mother, which led to her drinking and eventually her death. After that, no one in his family would take him in, so he was tossed between different foster homes until his 18th birthday. Soon after graduation, Jamal would live in a Honda Civic that was donated to his foster home, and he worked nights at UPS until he was able to afford his own apartment. God made this man for me. He was 10 years my senior, and we had both been through a hard life. I just knew God created us to be there for each other. To help each other make it in this cold, cruel, and unfair world, it was fate. Over the months that would pass, there would be endless movie dates and dinner dates. He even attended church with me. He met Gloria and offered to pay the phone bill each month, since we talked endlessly every night. And this immediately won her over. He would buy Carmen an occasional ice cream or Barbie and take us to the park on Sundays after dinner. He was unreal. He always opened my doors, and he had me home at a decent hour. In fact, he didn't even try to kiss me for the first 2 months. One night after my shift at the Stop and Shop, the drive home felt different. I replayed our conversations from earlier, trying to pinpoint if I had said something to offend him, and I came up with blanks. I knew as soon as he parked in front of Gloria's house that he was leaving me, or worse, he had found someone else. I had prepared myself for this, but thinking it and experiencing it is of no comparison. Immediately, my mind couldn't filter my mouth. I instantly started to plead and beg him not to leave me, saying that I would do whatever he wanted. I could barely contain myself when I noticed that he was stifling a chuckle. Confused, I asked him what was so funny, and he told me that he never wanted to leave me and that he just wanted to be more honest with me. He told me that he had 3 kids, all with different mothers, and that the 2 youngest were only 8 months apart in age. As he told me this story, tears were flowing from his eyes, and he had his head held down. He mumbled that he wouldn't blame me if I chose to leave him. It was at that moment that I knew I loved him more than ever. I didn't know what else to do, so I kissed him. This was my first kiss in all my 16 years of living. It was better than I imagined it. The multiple sex partner should have been my second warning. But again, I did not listen to my inner conscience. From then on, his children, Jamal Jr., who was 4 years old, Jeremiah, and Jermaine, who were both 2 years old, would be a huge part of my life, just as their father was. I would daydream that these were my children, and one day we would add more offspring of our own. No time soon, though. It seems that our relationship was getting stronger. He would cook me dinner at his apartment and read poetry while we cuddled in front of his fireplace. Was this love? I had never felt so close to anyone and so wanted in all my life. Someone loved me. As I changed buses, the happy and loving memories started to fade. Then the bitter taste that I've tasted for the past 2 weeks returned to my mouth. I boarded the number 21 bus and decided to let my mind wander for the hour-long trip that lay ahead of me. I knew that our relationship had changed the night of the Winter Wonderland dance. He was quiet all night, and each time I would ask him what was bothering him, he'd look away and reply, "Nothing." But in fact, I knew it was something big. Here I was for the first time in my life, able to make other girls notice me with this godlike creature I arrived with, and he didn't even want to be near me the entire night. Sure, we danced, but at arm's length, and his expression was one of boredom. The ride home that night wasn't much better. The silence was so thick that I could have sliced it with a knife. Once we arrived at Gloria's house, he didn't even wait for me to close the door before he sped off. My heart was pulling me in so many different directions, and I was so very lost. Jamal would not answer my phone calls for 2 weeks after that and was distant when he finally spoke to me. I was out of my mind with guilt. I didn't know where I had gone wrong, and so I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't there for him. Maybe I had made him mad and was just unaware of it. I couldn't eat and I couldn't focus on any one thing in particular. I was a lovesick mess. I knew what I had to do right then and there. I had to keep him interested. I had to give Jamal what he wanted. That night, I waited on Jamal's front porch for him to return home from work. I don't know if it was my mind, but before he spotted me waiting there, I'm pretty sure he had a smile on his face. After acknowledging me, the smile disappeared and he set his still perfect lips into a thin straight line. He walked past me and the whiff of Old Spice trailed. I love that smell. I followed him wordlessly into his bedroom and I slowly unbuttoned my blouse. Jamal didn't blink an eye. As I went to unfasten my bra, he quickly stopped me and replied, "When the time is right." And then he drove me home. Almost instantly after that night, my Jamal returned to me. It was as if we didn't miss a beat. This should have been my third warning. When the time was right, it was perfect. Valentine's Day to be exact. He was so gentle with me. He assured me that because I loved him and he loved me, that this was right. This was natural. I was so happy about our little secret. Since I didn't have any girlfriends to share it with, I wrote it all down in my diary. He said that this is what proved that we were a couple and that we were made for each other and that we shouldn't put any barriers between us because it would mean that we didn't love each other completely and didn't trust each other. I believed him with every breath. How could he be wrong? I loved him more than life itself, so why not connect with him without any type of barrier? We were careful. He even took me to this place called Planned Parenthood and stayed by my side the entire time and even helped me to pick the best contraceptive. He loved me so much. By April, things had changed again. He was once again very distant, and at times he seemed dead and cold on the inside. Once again, I knew it was my fault. Lately, he had started to get really rough with me. He would often leave me with bruises all over my body. He said that the older girls, no, the women, liked it, and that I needed to grow up. Also, whenever I didn't want to or wasn't in the mood, he oftentimes get violent and make me do it anyway. I zone out and let him have his way, and when he realized that I wasn't participating, that will often result in a slap or verbal abuse. So yeah, I knew it was my fault. If only I could just take the pain and want to do it as much as he, then we would be fine. So I decided that I was going to change my attitude from here on out. Isn't that what love was all about? Sacrifices? That night, I would give him my all, and he would realize how much I loved him, how I never stopped loving him, how I would be willing to do anything for him. The entire bus ride home from school was filled with me mentally coaching myself for what would follow that evening. I noticed her almost instantly sitting on Gloria's porch. I know we'd never met before, but her face looked so familiar. She couldn't have been a social worker. She didn't dress the part. Maybe she was lost. As I approached her, I could see that her eyes were blood red and her makeup had been running earlier and left behind bluish black streaks that trailed down to her chin on her very beautiful face. On a good day, she could have been a black Leona Lewis. Just not on this day. We stood staring at each other for what seemed like an eternity before she spoke to me. "You're not bad." Not exactly his type, but not bad. I knew who the he was and that she was referring to, but I made no attempt to respond to her. She laughed. "Oh my God, you're still a baby." Her expression was pain then, and then I recognized her. Those almond-shaped eyes, those thin lips, and even the indented chin. She was Jermaine's mother. She had to be. I opened my mouth to speak, but my words made me choke. I could barely get out a few squeaks. She shook her head. Don't bother. I just thought I'd let you know that I'm having Jamal's child. Again. His mother told me where you live, and I wanted you to know what was going on with our man. I didn't even bother to hide the tears from her or the pain yelp that was released unwillingly from my throat. She continued. I didn't expect you to be this young, but I think you should still know that I'm HIV positive. Jamal said that he had told you, but I know him, and I know honesty isn't his best quality. Yes, he has it all. Well, I received it from him. I'm sure of that. With that, she calmly walked off of Gloria's porch and forever out of my life. The tears were never ending. I crashed right where I was. I couldn't breathe and my mind was spinning. Another child? His mother's alive? HIV positive? This had to be a dream. It had to be. Jamal said that I should trust him and that he would never hurt me. I knew he wouldn't. There had to be some kind of explanation for this. This had to be a practical joke gone wrong. I must have sat there reasoning with myself for over 3 hours because Gloria and Carmen were home now, walking through the front gate. Gloria took one look at me, puffed the drag of her Newport before she tossed it and told me without a backwards glance that there were more fish in the sea and to get over it. The shell that I lived in all my life returned almost immediately, and I knew that I would have to pull myself together before I called Jamal. For 2 days, my calls went unanswered. Then on the third day, he responded to me. That shit happens. And how does he know that he didn't contract the virus from me? It was as if I had been hit by a semi-truck. That would be the last call he picked up before he changed his number, and he would move back with his parents. Yes, both real, live, living parents. Before I can make it to his apartment. I will go and take the test the very next week. Waiting for those 3 days to pass was the longest in my life. My gut told me I had the virus. And for a quick second, I even contemplated what if I had given it to him. But I know now that that was another guilt trip created by the beautiful Jamal. I would grieve for Jamal for those 3 days, my first love, my only love. And then I would grieve for him no more. I would not grieve for me at all. My heart wouldn't let me. I had always been good at dealing with pain, so why should this be any different? Rayne Johnson was strong, and nothing could shake her. That's what I repeated to myself, and so far, it's working. I decided to get off the bus 2 blocks early. I wanted to be the first face Carmen saw when her 8-year-old spirit floated out of that school. I passed by a corner store and decided to get Carmen a Milky Way. The kid deserved it, and she was really something special. On my way out of the corner store, a man held the door open for me. I smiled politely and walked out. He smelled of cigars and Old Spice. I hated that smell. I would always hate that smell for all the days I shall live. I knew exactly when it was that I realized my life was great. It was on a sunny day in Florida at 3:45 p.m. I was still holding that piece of white paper in my right hand and a Milky Way in my left hand. The school bell rang, and instantly kids started running out from every nook and cranny of the schoolhouse. I didn't have to be as tall as I was for those light brown eyes to focus on me and for those pigtails to bounce as she ran a little faster to get to me. When I hugged her the same way I did a month after she was born. A month after that, when I knew we had been abandoned in that park. And just as I have when I told the social worker that I would not let them separate us. I hugged her like I always did, with as much love as possible, and she returned that love. Here it was right in front of me, someone that loved me no matter what. I was looking for what was right in front of me. True love. All feelings of despair floated away. I was at peace with my life, and I was going to live it right from this point forward. Not for me, but for her. I traded the candy bar for her right hand, and the white paper in my right hand for that beautiful picture of 2 sisters standing under a rainbow. The white paper crumbled to the ground. I was free. We walked the 2 blocks to Gloria's house, with Carmen chattering away a mile a minute. I couldn't help but smile at her innocence. That's when I decided I would do everything in my power to educate as many people as I could about my mistakes. If I have listened to Karma's opinion, I have listened to Karma's opinion on why boys have cooties and planned my future. If Irvin Magic Johnson could survive, then so would I. I would make it to see Karma graduate high school and go to college. I would see her get married and have her own children. I would be there to see her do it safely and guiding her along the way. She would in no way make the same mistakes I did. I would protect her. I would protect as many as I can. The world would know what Jamal did to me, not as an attempt to blackmail him, but to save others from Jamal and men like him that didn't regard the lives in which they destroyed. Last one to the door is a rotten egg, Carmen said with a chocolate smile on her beautiful round face. You're on, I responded. Yeah, I know exactly when I realized that my life was perfect in its own way. I realized it right now. All right, y'all, that's it. Like, comment, share, all that. Be safe. Love y'all.